Brad, how's the week been?
Oh, it's been a good week in terms of a little bit more time to prepare. Came off consecutive 6-day breaks, so it's been a bit of a challenge to do the work that's badly needed. So this week, been able to get the players in a really good physical space, and in terms of the mental space, we'll see how today's session goes. But we've got them physically ready to do a good block of work today, so certainly looking forward to that.
There's a lot of negativity outside. You have to be careful it doesn't creep inside.
Yeah, I think that's always a challenge in any football team, probably any sporting environment, when you're in a competition where there's only one winner at the end of the year, and it's, particularly in the AFL competition at the moment, it's really tight, and the results can sort of swing all over the place, as they have so far this year. I think the challenge is to be able to focus on what's really important, and even before that, you've got to be able to identify what that is and then put a plan in place. So this industry is a great industry because it's unbelievably popular and people love it, and there's passion and scrutiny and media coverage, which are all great things. But how you handle it is up to you. So we've done a fair bit of work on that, and hopefully our coaches can lead from the front.
Carlton's tall forwards, they could play four of them potentially, and there's two obvious guys that could take them on your side of things. But do you bring someone else in to help cover that?
Yeah, we're going to have to have a really close look at that. They've all of a sudden they look really potent up forward. There's been a lot of talk for a number of years about Carlton's ability to kick a big score, and now they look like they're dangerous on a lot of fronts, not just through the midfield, but with their tall target. So yeah, I think the Mackay brothers would be a salivating matchup. But having been through that myself, I'm not sure if I'm keen to put Ben through the misery of playing on his twin brother. But that's why I moved clubs, so I didn't have to do it.
Is he a chance?
Yeah, he's a chance. Yeah, he's a chance. I mean, purely, because of the threat that Carlton pose. I mean, we've had a few injuries through our back half and thrown them around a fair bit. But if we're going to size and shape against them, then yeah, he's definitely a chance.
Sam Durden too early?
No, too early for Sam. Yeah, he'll play in the VFL, which is great that he's back. But yeah, he's just not ready. He'll have to play a few in the VFL before he's a chance.
Is Jared Pollock right to go, Brad?
Yeah, he had a scan on his quad, but to be honest, that quad was a little bit sore last week. So it's just a follow up to make sure that there's no risk, or as little risk as possible, of there being any further damage on that. But our medical staff have informed me that if he trains just a little bit today, that he'll be right by Sunday.
With Ben Cunnington, it's fair to say he's been walking a fine line. Do you have to tell him to cut that stuff out?
Yeah, and we've spoken a lot about that. It's a really fine balance for someone like Ben, who's unbelievably competitive, and he's such a hard ball player that and he's such a hard tackler that it's I'm reluctant to tell him to back right off, because then he's not playing on his instincts, and he plays best when he's on the edge. But I mean, clearly there are things that are just not on. And he knows exactly what they are, and he's incredibly disciplined in terms of how we want him to play around the footy, and we've got to make sure that he's equally disciplined around the rules.
When you have a run of results like you have, I mean, do you need to really pay attention to, I guess, not having that fear of losing rather than just concentrating on what makes you a good team?
Yeah, well, strong of mind, loose in body. I think you can. It's very easy to tense up and try too hard at times. I think that there's a big difference between having a really strong will and persevering and persisting and being incredibly mentally strong. But you've got to make sure that you're loose enough in the body to perform. And we see it all through all sorts of sports. And probably golf is the one that stands out the most. Once you tense up, you're not going to hit the ball consistently well. And that's a bit the same for us, that we've got to stay incredibly strong in the mind, but make sure that we're not worried about making mistakes. We've got to go out and accept that mistakes are going to happen, but keep playing to our system.
How far away do you reckon this list is from competing at the level you want it to be?
It's an impossible question to answer, Pete. I wish I could tell you the answer. Just to reiterate what Sean Higgins said earlier in the week, it was only this time last year that we were the best pressure side in the competition. So not too much has changed in terms of personnel. So it can turn pretty quickly. We know what it looks like. Recreating it's the challenge. So we're not going to sort of forecast too far out into the future. We've got a really important game against Carlton this week, and that's all we can focus on. I said earlier in the week on Fox that you worry too much about the past and get anxious about the future. You take your eye off what's right in front of you at the moment. That's our challenge.
Can we tick off another couple of players? Luke McDonald, Marley Williams, where are they at this stage of the week?
Yeah, again, it'll depend on training today. We expect them to do bits and pieces of the session today, and that'll give a really clear indication as to whether they'll play. I mean, we'll probably name them in our squad just because we're a Sunday game. We've got to name it tonight. So, but it'll depend on how they pull up tomorrow morning.
And if you don't go with, say, Ben Mackay coming in, is it Jamie McMillan that steps up to be that third tall? Is he the most likely option outside of the obvious two?
Yeah, well, I think a combination of Luke, Jamie McMillan, Jasper Pittard are all that sort of 190 sort of hybrid defender who now they're all pretty capable in the air. So yeah, they're the things we're weighing up, whether we go like for like or whether we go for a bit more run.
South Square issues you've spoken about, is that a personnel thing, or do you need to tweak how you go about it? Or?
No, we needed to tweak how we went about it. I mean, last year we were pretty good in there. We were pretty excited about 666, and I in particular got a rude shock in terms of what we thought would be a strength turned out to be a massive weakness. But we went a long way to addressing that last week. To concede 130 points in the first 5 games and then only 7 in round 6 was a step in the right direction, but it's only 1 game.
For the first time in a while, your tenure's been questioned. Do you assess yourself a bit harder at times like these when the team's struggling?
No, I again just focus on what's important, what's right in front of us. I think when we made the decisions to move the list in a different direction in 2017, that since that point, I think we've won something like 13 out of 28. So in terms of a complete list overhaul, in the bigger picture, it's probably not too far off where we should be, but clearly right at the moment, the 2019 season isn't shaping up like everyone would like. But the bigger picture, the club's in fantastic shape, and I keep reiterating that. It means very little when you're sitting 1 and 5.
It's starting so well last year, being in a midway point, you were going very well. Did it maybe raise the expectations a bit higher than where that rebuild sort of was at?
Oh, probably, but I mean, that's our aim is to try and be as competitive as we can each week and try and perform, to the best of our ability. And the results at the end of the day take care of themselves. And we were really pleased with the way we were able to compete last year, and we haven't been able to recapture that same competitiveness so far in 2019. But as I said, we know what it looks like, and we've just got to go to work and recapture it.
What's the environment like? I mean, Ben Buckley caught up with you and probably pushed you to challenge each other. Is that happening enough, do you think? Yeah, it's happening enough. I mean, we challenge each other all the time. I really try and create an environment with our coaches and players where nothing's off limits. They can, we have a really set way that we want to go about it, but no one is protected from being challenged in the way that we structure up, the way that we pick the team, the way that we train. All those things are analysed on a daily basis. So I think we've got a really open and collaborative environment like that, which encourages anyone to speak up, because it's not just my way or the highway. And particularly at times like these, we want everyone putting their ideas forward.
If the wins don't come, what will be the other indications that it's been a successful season or that you've taken the club forward?
Well, again, I mean, we're really pleased so far with the early season form of Bailey Scott, and he's still got some things to work on in his game, but I don't think I've seen a more diligent 18-year-old in my time in footy. So he's only going to get better. Taron Thomas's inclusion, Luke Davies-Uniacke continuing to get midfield exposure, and we've always prided ourselves as a coaching group of getting the best out of our players, and that's what we'll continue to do. And if we do that really well, then the team obviously benefits from that.
How's Magic's progress going?
Yeah, he's going well. He might join in elements of the team warm-up today, which will certainly have everyone up and about. But his potential return to play is it's just impossible to put a time frame on that. He's just got certain things he's got to tick off in his recovery, and it's very difficult to say when he'll return. But we're just focused on getting him back running. He's doing that now. Do a bit of warm-up today and keep with his rehab. But until he's ready to join in main skills, it'll be very, very difficult for us to put a return to play date.
Ben Jacobs obviously an important player when he was about. Can you find a replacement, I suppose, or someone that can actually do that?
Yeah, I don't want to mention any names, but we're schooling a few up in the VFL. We really value that role, and we haven't quite been able to replace it so far. So we've got
Hayden's the one.
Oh, well, yes, too good. I said I didn't want to mention any names, but you've done it for me. Yeah, Kyron's been doing that in the VFL, so well done on doing your homework. And look, he's, we put him in our squad last week, and we strongly considered him coming in to play a role for us last week. So, yeah, hopefully he's not too far away from being able to do that. But also hopefully Ben's not too far away. But I can't give you an update on that, unfortunately, because I don't know myself.